Hey you beautiful nerds, geeks, and genre fans of all kind. Welcome back to the Canadian Nerd Show. Now brought to you by our amazing sponsors over at Han Solo Records, Canada's home for the best in underground and nerdcore hip-hop. So make sure to check them out. In this episode, what we'll be doing is going inside Toronto's Comic Arts Festival, aka t.c.a.f, which took place in downtown Toronto near Yonge and Bloor at Toronto's Reference Library. Now, all of us over here at the Canadian Nerd Show actually had a pretty busy weekend with Mother's Day and all of the festivities that surrounded that. And as such, we kind of almost forgot about t.c.a.f, unfortunately. However, we were able to make up some excuses and escape for a couple hours on Mother's Day to get you guys a little bit of footage. Needless to say, this means that our Nerdcore Music episode with Han Solo Records is going to be pushed back until the next episode, which will most likely be released on Wednesday. So make sure you check that out by clicking right over here. Should be an amazing episode. However, it is now time to go inside the Toronto Comic Arts Festival to find out what it was all about. So what we'll do is first, we'll jump in and show you guys an awesome montage of some of the vendors and publishers and press who were all in attendance. After which we'll come back and do our standard convention walkthrough. And unfortunately, that'll be about it for this episode because, like I said, we were super busy and we're just happy to be able to make it out there. So, without further ado, Toronto Comic Arts Festival. Alright guys, well that's it for the montage, and as I'm sure you can tell, as compared to some of the other conventions we attend, there were pretty much no cosplayers, there were vendors of comics and books, as per the name, Toronto Comic Arts Festival. However, there were no toy vendors or really anybody else that touched on genre or pop. As such, it was super literary, and additionally it was free entrance, so it made for a bit more regulars, I suppose you could say. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just meant more people and less people that were maybe quite as nerdy as you and me. Alright, you fellow nerds, we've come to that portion of the episode where we will jump in and take you on a first-person walkthrough to give you a sense of what the space was like at this year's t.c.a.f. So, without further ado, let's jump in and check it out. Alright, you fellow nerds, well, it's about time to close the book on this 2013 Toronto Comic Arts Festival episode of the Canadian Nerd Show. And before we close the book on this episode, I very much want to encourage you guys to check out our amazing new sponsors, Han Solo Records. They are home of Canada's best in underground and nerdcore hip-hop, and furthermore, they support the Canadian Nerd Show in bringing you inside the best of Canadian nerd culture. So make sure that you click right over here and support them. Also, please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and most importantly, share the Canadian Nerd Show with anybody that you think might have an interest in Canadian nerd culture. And finally, until the next episode, peace! Bye! À la prochaine!